you know, I do pictures all the time. But I knew there was moments of energy that was the 60s, the 80s and now. So I chose those because it saved like going through millions and millions of contacts. So it was chosen for me in a way by when I knew I did the most activity in taking pictures in the East End. I went to look at the road where we lived in East Ham, and it's much nicer now than it was when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, all the privets needed cutting. There was houses boarded up, and it's all tidied up. Tidied up's the word, I think. When I was a kid, I'd quite like to have been an ornithologist, but it's pretty hopeless if you're dyslexic, and from East Ham there wasn't much chance of being an ornithologist. But I'm still interested in, mostly parrots I'm more interested in than any other bird. So when I was a kid, everybody had a parrot. In the East End, the parrot and bull terrier were the two pets that everybody had. And I think the spirit of the East End is humour, really. Especially in America with the villages. You know, first there's one village, then there's another village, and now it's Wall Street. Nothing to do with creativity, it's to do with artists having enough space that's cheap enough to work. I mean, nothing happens in its moment, you know. The 60s started happening in the mid-50s, and it's never really finished because it's still coming through. They didn't say, right, 69, we're switching off the working class voice. It went through and morphed into the rest of society. The English society always morphs everything into a kind of establishment, unfortunately, in a way. You know, suddenly it's Sir Mick Jagger, or Sir Elton John. You know, it's kind of, let's suck them in. But that's the way it works. Well, it's like musical chairs, isn't it, politicians? It just depends who's going round and sits in that chair. So they just go around and sit in the same old chairs, or they don't sit in the same old chairs, and nothing really ever changes. I'm not saying I could be a politician better, because I think it's the institution, you know, democracy is based on it's hardly perfect democracy, but I guess it'll do till we find something else, because people don't vote for the good of the country or for the good of the neighbour, they vote for what they think is good for them. The class system, really, it was something to fight against, really. If you had an accent like mine in those days, they'd always say, leave the parcel over there, because they automatically assumed you were the messenger. And the photographers were treated a bit like monkeys. But this monkey turned into King Kong, so I screwed them a bit. No, it was more to do with the 60s than. It was the first time some of the working class got the opportunity to have a voice. My advice to anybody about fashion is don't let fashion get in the way of taste, so that's just a bit of fun. I make every shoot count now. I won't accept a job unless I think it's up to what I consider, if you like to call it gallery quality. I don't want to shoot anything that I would be ashamed to put in the show. Everyone keeps things interesting because if they sort of have a curiosity, because curiosity is everything really. If you don't have curiosity, you might as well roll over and grow tomatoes.